Okay, so I thought we'd talk a little bit about two-tier policing again that's happening in Britain, where a Telegraph journalist, Allison Pearson, had a knock on the door from the Thought Police. Now, before we go into it, if anyone doesn't know Allison Pearson, she is, on some things, on a lot of things, she's pretty based, pretty good. But, you know, on other things, not so much. I think she was relatively pro-BLM at the time, during the height of their stuff. But on loads of other things, she's pretty based. So yeah, anyway. She had done a tweet about a year ago, something about the COVID stuff. In fact, do we have the actual tweet?
I think
we've got the actual tweet somewhere.
Wasn't part of the thing that she didn't even know what the tweet was at the time.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that is crazy. They don't tell you apparently what it actually is. I think this is the tweet where she says she's being ironical about vaccines and Wuhan and things. So nothing. It's just nothing, right? But obviously, writing for the Telegraph and being a relatively or pretty high-profile journalist, I suppose, someone somewhere in the upper echelons of things, sort of the eye of Sauron fell upon her. Someone made a complaint, felt offended. I say it's sort of a racial hatred thing. Is what it came down to. She wrote an article all about it, of course, as you would. And she says that they knock on your door. Oh, another thing that was interesting, she says since about 2014, apparently like 250,000 of these have been issued.
The non-crime hate incidents where they either register it or go to someone's house and basically make them check their thinking when they've not actually committed any crime. And of course,
non-crime.
The fact that you've got two representatives of the state that are legally allowed to commit violence onto you, and you've got to basically stay on their good side, otherwise you have your life ruined by them. That's scary. It doesn't matter who you are. If you care about your life, your future, your family, that's a cause for concern. It's not something that should be done lightly for things that aren't even crimes in the first place. You know, there are many crimes on the books as is that I think are ridiculous. So the fact that they're talking to people for non-crimes, you know, also add on to that the fact that, 99% of thefts go unsolved?
Yeah.
I think people care more about that than tweets that the police find unsavoury.
I think most burglaries go essentially uninvestigated, certainly unsolved. Most crimes, I think, in general. But yeah, it's a non-crime hate incident, an NCHI. Now, I knew that thousands of these had been done. I didn't know it was 250,000. That's way more than I thought. I knew it was significant. I knew it was bad. I knew it was in the thousands. I didn't know it was that many, though. I mean,
we could have some on our police file. They can give us non-crime hate incidents.
There is a.
They don't even have to tell you about it.
Yeah,
there's zero chance that we do not have these.
My thinking is, let them do it. I don't care as long as you don't actually take my liberty. Well, not that I don't care. Of course I care. Sorry, let's get that straight. I really do care. It's a terrible thing, but just let them do it. If they don't actually take your liberty away, just do whatever you're going to do. You're going to do it anyway, right?
I see what you're saying.
Like the intelligence services are watching me. Go on then.
It's not that you don't want them to watch you. It's just that.
Of course I care. It's terrible. This is the breakdown. This is how societies break down and fall apart, and it's the thin end of the wedge to a police state. It honestly is. Of course it is. So they knocked on our door and they say, you did a tweet, two young officers, you did a tweet like a year ago, and we've sort of opened a non-crime hate incident on you. And she was like, what was that? What then? What was it? What was the tweet? And they're like, we can't tell you. That's mad. That's insane. And she's like, well, who had issue with it? And I said, we can't tell you that. That's slightly less insane to me. Like protecting the victim. Of course, they're not a victim. This is that whole paradigm is insane.
The thing is, yeah,
I get that, but not to tell. But yeah, and that. There's many layers of insanity about it.
It's literally not a crime. So who is it hurting?
Yeah, there's many layers of nonsense about this.
It's literally the curtain twitcher society of the busybodies can ring up the police and say this has offended me, then write it down and get you in trouble.
At least traditional curtain twitchers look out the window for like public disorder or like petty crime. not just you said an unsavoury thing online.
Anonymous informers. Again, that is how a police state, how tyrannies operate, really.
Soviet Union.
Even if you go back to ancient times, I'm thinking of the Informer Society under Tiberius, or Domitian, or Caligula, all these places where anyone can accuse anyone of anything, anonymously. Yeah, that's a fast track to a horror. Yeah.
It's
but,
also... Oh, sorry.
well, I was just going to say, so the thing that is a non-crime in the first place, insane. The thing that your accuser can remain anonymous, well, all right, I can actually argue about that. But the thing they won't tell her what the actual thing was, the actual tweet, that is now into the realms of Kafka. And that's one of the things she said, that we're now in a Kafkaesque a state, or one of the another Telegraph article talking about it, saying that it's Kafkaesque, which Kafkaesque is, Kafka wrote about usually very disquieting, strange things that throw you off balance, and the injustice. I mean, the only Kafka I ever read was Metamorphosis, because it's not very long. That's the only Kafka I've actually ever read. Yeah, it's actually worth read. It's probably worth a read. That's the only Kafka I ever read, and that was a long time ago.
Read The Trial, which is where I think Kafkaesque
probably
comes from.
Go.
Yeah. So the basic premise is that someone is put on trial and they're not even aware of what their crime is, and they go through this long and convoluted process. And that's normally what this term has come to mean. It comes from that book, I think.
Yeah, I would have thought so, yeah. And also that you're just living in a completely bizarre world. Mm-hmm. There's that element to it, I think, when people say Kafkaesque sometimes. That the world's been turned upside down, nothing makes sense anymore. We've taken some weird left turn somewhere.
So there's a few things to say about the fact they're not saying what actually committed the crime, because that was the same thing at, the member of our audience that got a visit from the police in August sort of time, I think it was, maybe a little bit later. They didn't say what the offending tweet was, what the offending post was, and they just cautioned her and said, be careful what you post online and things like that. And there's also something else to this that I think, another element to it, that there were many cases of people being prosecuted for memes and jokes, and whenever it's reported on, they don't actually tell you what it was. So there are police officers, for example, getting dismissed for jokes, losing their job for posting memes, things like that. They don't say what the meme is. They don't say whether it is meant in jest, whether it is a serious statement of belief, which jokes rarely are. And so by not telling the public what the actual offending article is, what it forces the public to do is we have to be extra vigilant, because we don't know where the line is, because people don't go and read the legislation, they look at real world examples. And if the real world examples are you get a knock on your door because you put out a tweet that the police don't like, or you're a police officer yourself and you post a meme in a group chat that one person reports you for because it helps their promotion, to basically grass on their colleagues, then everyone's going to be so hyper vigilant to the point where it just enforces conformity. And I think that's the point.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
no,
not
definitely.
telling people that for that reason.
Yeah, no, absolutely, definitely. That is the point. In fact, she's collaborated with Toby Young before, and they picked on the wrong person. They did pick on the wrong person. She's obviously got a big voice, writing for the Telegraph and having a decent sort of exposure.
She's one of the Telegraph journalists that I see the most of.
Right, yeah. They picked the wrong lady to do this to, because she can immediately hit back and people will hear about it. But yeah, I mean, she said that Toby Young has said things like, that's the whole point of it, is that they say, look, you haven't committed any crime, but you're on our radar, and you'll be on our records now, and you best behave yourself, and just sort of encourage you to self-censor going forward.
Oh, it's intimidation.
Of course, that's what, right. Another way of putting it is intimidation. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. State intimidation to get back in the box. Shut your mouth. Be quiet.
We're watching.
Don't you dare notice, let alone say that you've noticed.
Big Starmer is watching you.
Yeah, Big Starmer.
He is.
I mean,
he's getting ready to
terrible.
blow his nose in my direction.
And I do feel for her. The only thing I would say is it did come across a little bit to me like, oh, it's real now, it's happened to me. I mean, that's a bit unfair because she has been based on a fair few issues, although not across the board, but she has been based on a fair few stuff. So, but I think that's also just human nature as well, isn't it? It's like, I don't really care about that there's two-tier policing until it happens to me. I don't really care about all the rape gangs until it's someone in my family. I don't really care about being displaced in my own ancestral homeland and becoming a hated minority until it actually affects me. That's just, unfortunately, human nature a bit, isn't it?
Well, I think that people find it difficult to conceptualise things that they have no experience of, because for most people, they live via experience rather than in abstract.
Stop worrying about loads of mosques being built until one's built in your back garden, backing onto your back garden, until the call to prayer wakes you up in the middle of the night, and then it's an issue. But again, I suppose that's just human nature. So yeah, it's just another example of these. I mean, I just would not accept their premise if they knocked on my door, or probably when they knock on my door. I would go down the line of, sorry, am I under arrest? Are you actually taking me in? Take me in. Oh, you're not? Okay, well, I'm not having any further conversation. Bye-bye, guys. That's how they should be treated. I've seen loads of clips of people doing exactly that.
I think my approach would be slightly different. Obviously, whenever the police knock on your door, record it.
Oh, yeah, get your phone out
Absolutely
immediately.
do that.
And don't accept when they say, you can't film this. You go, no, I can. I am. It's
You're legally allowed to, there's
Yeah,
nonsense. But what I would be tempted to do is just try and tease out as much information from them as possible, because they can't do anything to you anyway. And so you may as well find out what's going on here and then tease out and get a better idea of why they're there in the first place. That would be my sort of inclination.
But you try that and they just stonewall you, saying, well, we can't tell you that. We can't tell you that. We can't tell you that. Mm-hmm. We're just here to sort of check your thinking.
But there are lots of different ways to ask the same sorts of questions.
I would just ascertain that I'm not under arrest, and then that's it. Mm-hmm. Just get rid of them as soon as possible. And if you are under arrest, until you get representation, sort of be like name and number only. Like a bit like and like, I'm not talking to you guys at all. I'm not answering any of your questions until I get
ever talk to the police without legal representation under any circumstances, even if you know you're 100% innocent, because they will stitch you up. That's just the way it is.
It's their job to get a conviction. They're not there to find out the truth.
Many police officers have said exactly that. Just that. Yeah, don't ever talk to the police. They're just there to get it sorted as quickly as possible. They don't care if you're guilty a lot of the time.
They're not your friend. No. There's a great clip I've posted on Twitter, I think more than once, certainly once, and it's in America, but it nearly perfectly applies to anywhere in the West, Britain, Australia. But he is an American guy. And he says, even if you're completely innocent, you know you're completely innocent, you've got evidence showing you're completely innocent, you've got witnesses to back up your completely innocent, all of that, still don't talk to the police at all until you've got a lawyer with you, because it will not be in your interests to. You can accidentally say something which is the truth and doesn't incriminate you, but they take it down, and later in a court of law a clever prosecutor twists it round and all sorts of things. Don't talk to the police without a lawyer, because it's just not in your interest. They're not there to help you, and that they say they do. Oh, it's in your interest. If you say something now which you later rely on in court, it may be held against you. All right, well, we'll see then. Yeah, thanks for that tidbit. And we'll see. Yeah, until then, representation, please. Lawyer. Thanks. That's it. It's as simple as that. And if they're not even arresting you, they've just come round to sort of wag their finger in your face. No. I'm a grown man. Thank you very much. I'm not having that. I'm just not having it. That's,
The notion of the state can send around their armed thugs to threaten you to do what they want is a disgusting thing. When it's the mafia, it is a lot scarier to people. But they're basically the same thing, aren't they? It's basically just the government is a protection racket that sends thugs to your door to shake you down and make you behave. Otherwise, you get whacked.
There is something comical about the idea, though, especially given the way that they recruit police officers these days, that you open the door one day and find 2 4-foot Karens at your door, telling you that you've not committed a crime.
Yeah.
Like, if only they could do that every day, if they could come into my house every day to the front door, knock and tell me, here's a little badge, you've not committed a crime today, well done. That's what they're doing, is they're telling you, you posted something mean on Twitter, you've not committed a crime though. I would say, well, thank you very much for reminding me, I felt very proud.
Would you like to talk to my manager?
it would be difficult not to get sarcastic with them if they didn't go away. Just say, so it's not a crime then. And they start speaking. Oh, so it's not a crime then.
Yeah.
All that sort of thing. Getting playground.
Am I being rewarded in some
Yeah.
way for this? Would you like me to be
Do you
more,
like my tweet? Yeah.
more
Yeah.
offensive next time? Do I get bigger prizes?
It was a good tweet. Did you like it? I hope you liked it.
So I would like to say for this tweet, this account I think is inflating numbers. This account is basically fake news.
Okay.
So it's been shared around.
It's one of the ones that's actually run by an Indian.
It might well be.
I don't even know how
But-
that link got in there. I don't think I put this link in there, but
Yeah, Elon Musk replied to this, but
oh, is that what it was? Sorry, that's right. Yeah, here it is. That's what it was.
yeah.
Elon
Yeah.
Musk is. I think I saw another tweet from him saying specifically about Pearson, saying this must end or something along those lines. But
yeah, this inevitable West person, they just make up the news. Like
Oh,
they
did they?
said
Okay.
that Farage and Tice are going to join Jeremy Clarkson in the farmers' protest, and there's literally no mention of that anywhere
oh, is that right?
online,
Yeah.
except on their Twitter. So they're just a liar.
Always be hesitant with something like this where they're saying breaking hundreds of British. You want at least one or two links that they post underneath the original tweet actually verifying what they've said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Allison Pearson, who I imagine, to give her the benefit of the doubt, has got at least some journalistic integrity. And in her article on the Telegraph, it said there'd been 250,000 of these.
Yeah.
I trust
there
what
have
So
been.
say
We can take that
Yeah.
as true.
Yes.
Okay.
I imagine that the
But
editor
not-
will have double checked.
Yeah, they're
that anyway.
saying this weekend regarding X posts. That's a very different thing
Right.
to that. Yeah, the non-crime hate incident thing is an epidemic,
Mm.
and I've spoke to Harry Miller about this a few times, and it's one of the things that he's very hot on pursuing because he basically sees it as a massive waste of time and tyrannising the public, which I 100% agree with.
Yeah, I do not accept their moral indignation
Mm-hmm.
at a slightly spicy tweet. I reject it.
Well, it's just weak, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I said something you didn't like. Oh, boo-hoo. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Grow up. You know, it's not a schoolyard anymore. And anyway, sticks and stones don't break your bones,
Again,
right?
is it a crime? Are you
Break your bones.
Are you going
Words
to
don't.
Are you going to take my liberty away? Well, you're not. Okay, well, there's no more conversation to be had then. That's it. That's how I'm pretty hard line about it. And anyway, Mrs. Pearson says, I think this was today even. She says that where she talked about it in the Telegraph, sort of straight away, and then that annoyed the police, Essex police in this instance. She says that they'd said that she was unethical for her to have reported her awful experience.
There's a rich irony in that of it's unethical for you to report on us on our unethical visit to your home when you didn't commit a crime.
Yeah.
The fact that what they're essentially saying is that's mean. Hey, that's mean.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Don't
bullying.
go
You're
don't
bullying the
report on
police.
us like
Oh,
the police are actually trying to cry bully you. That's
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
All I did was visit her house. Come on, what's going on?
Yeah. And well, it's good that she then immediately just tweets that, right? Again, it's good. It's unapologetic. She says the British people deserve to be informed about the Kafkaesque state of their justice system. Instead of solving frightening crime, police are frightening people. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, sort of middle class normies, centre of right middle class normies, are just waking up to this, and it's it's not just people that are on the fringes of things. So that's mainly the article. But one last thing I thought I'd mention is talking about fringe ideas, fringe arguments that sometimes people have been ostracised for, such as someone like Steve Laws or myself, talking about remigration or mass remigration, mass deportations. Now Trump has got a cabinet, putting together a cabinet, which says they're going to mass deport people. Sam Ashworth-Hayes in the Telegraph again has mentioned today that mass deportations are probably going to be necessary. So it's still a bit milquetoast. It's only really
He's going to
talking
get a
about
visit from the police, I
It's only
imagine.
really, it's only really talking about smashing the gangs and the small boat people and people that are here illegally. Still, it's moving the Overton window a bit, where it used to be completely beyond the pale and would get a hope not hate piece written about you and get you deplatformed from places and
Get you kicked off of your
get deselected from places. People like Toby Young say that it was beyond the pale. Well, now the US government are pro it, and even the Telegraph are starting to print in mainstream media.
The irony of Toby Young saying that something someone says is beyond the pale when he runs the Free Speech Union.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Well, remember
one principle there.
Oh, this is cowards.
He thought I was beyond the pale. Remember what he did for Sam Mellier?
Nothing.
Sweet FA, I seem to recall, yeah. Okay, well, anyway, that's the end of that segment.
What were the odds? How could this convergence have come together? But of course, this is something that Bo has a complete passion for, and he must have done about 10 hours worth of Caesar so far, and you can watch it all for just £5 a month. Also, come and follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and be updated about everything that we're doing and keep abreast of current developments. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you soon.